republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting to order Monday, March 6th. Roll call, please.
Mayor Nathan Anderson.
Here.
Troy Boone.
Here.
Will Wolke.
Here.
Art Shaw.
Here.
Eli Seeley.
Here.
Teresa Sweden. Here. Mike Heumann.
Yep.
Agenda was sent out. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion by Tiedemann, seconded to adopt the agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Minutes for the February 21st, 2023 meeting were sent out. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
We'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 21st, 2023. Second.
Motion by Larry, seconded to approve the February 21st, 2023 minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing for zoning request for Pete Fallberg to rezone lot 1 of Fallberg Edition from NRC district to single family residential district to general business.
The planning and zoning has already had the first hearing on this. We had that there back in February. They recommended 100% to recommend rezoning request for a retail business at this particular location. So part of that, the property is in a national conservation district, which is similar to ag ground. We just call it NRC now. And part of it, the front of it was single family. This lot is located right next to Casey's, kind of between Casey's and Bethesda a little bit out there. I know there's a couple of guys who are here that were at the planning and zoning meeting, and I'm sure they can answer any questions you guys might have about what the business intends to go in there and size of building or egress, ingress, all that kind of stuff. So I'll let those guys kind of take over.
My name's Alan Betchen. We're with AAB Engineering, so I'm a civil engineer for the project. This is Mike Mantle. He's with the development group with Helmer. We are looking at rezoning that tract of land and doing a relocation project for the Dollar General store. So building a larger, more modern and the current standard of store. This will go to, this is the market. So this will go to a 12, almost 13,000 square foot store. So significantly bigger than what's there. More product offerings, and then it brings it into conformance with what the kind of the maintenance and staffing standards. Part of the problems that they're having is whenever a store is performing well, like this one has, this is a market where we start looking at can we upsize it and kind of bring it into the current model to help it perform even better than what it is. We've actually already went through, from an internal standpoint, full design on the site. We can fit, it's pretty steep in cross slope. I mean, if you look at that site, there's a pretty good fall from east to west. We've got it, and there may be a little bit of wall work, but it's only 2 or 3 foot, kind of in the northwest corner where it really starts to fall off. We'll have detention for the site in the parking lot. There is the existing Casey's Drive that's on the east side of Casey's is a access easement that was granted. It's actually not entirely on Casey's. It's partly on this lot and partly on Casey's lot. It's a mutual access easement that was for the benefit of this tract as well as Casey's parcel. So the access will be derived off of that same drive. Single point of access with truck loading on the west. So this is a project we're excited about. We think it'll be a good fit and good for the community.
You made a comment that semis, when they load and unload, are going to use the same access as Casey's.
Yes, sir.
And that road that's alongside the lot going back
on the east side so that road is an access to the residents to the north,
right?
And that is going to be completely independent. We won't make any connection.
So there's nothing in the back road where you can drive out the back.
That is correct. There is single point of access, and it'll be off of Casey's lot.
Okay, so my question is on Casey's there, that driveway, is that going to be wide enough for semis and traffic for Casey's and the dollar store?
So the semi loads, there's a little bit of a misconception about it's not a frequent movement. There's one on average, one a week. As far as big truck deliveries, there's a lot of small unit truck deliveries.
Are they going to make it wider, or they just?
We can make those movements on it as it sits today. It's 36 feet today, which is more than enough to make that truck turning movement. And then our drive, there's either a switchgear or a transformer kind of in this just east of Casey's
Right,
Drive.
right.
So the drive has to slide up. So it's gonna feel like it sits back, but it doesn't. It's not even out of the access easement of what was originally contemplated for it. So it kind of comes in north of that. And there's plenty of room for trucking.
As far as the slope of the land, are you gonna do any building, try to level it a little bit off?
For sure.
It's a little bit of a hill.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of it of a hill, especially when you're trying to put a building across most of it. It's mostly a push to fill site. Believe it or not, we've set the site up to where it sits deeper, so the building is oriented shallow, facing toward the street, and it runs deeper into the land. The contour is pretty steadily straight east to west. So we're pushed to fill, and then we left pretty ample green space on both sides of it to make up a lot of those grades. There is a little section in the back, far northwest corner of what will be the parking lot,
Right.
where we made a little 2 or 3 foot wall just to get the parking lot
More level
contained. Yeah, and because the detention as far as reducing the peak runoff rates to what they are naturally or less will happen in the parking lot on that western edge. So we are limited in kind of how much we grade it off because we need to be able to perform that same function back
You might have to put some tubes or something underneath there if you build it up. What about the sewer? You can hit the main, Jeff, you're on this? The sewer's going to the street on 46 and the water might go to 10.
So there's a main running north-south on the western edge of the property that I think it was installed as part of Casey's would be my guess.
It's in between.
Yeah. And so that our plan is to serve directly off of that. Water is out front, and I think we're long serving. I think it comes from the south side of the street.
The water's gonna have to come from the west.
Is it what,
Yeah.
orange line or 6-4?
I don't know what you guys.
Our services we'll serve off of 1 inch. That's no. I mean, it's
No fire suppression line.
no fire suppression. So we're under the fire suppression limits. And regardless of how you look at the code on both sides,
So we're looking at 1 inch, 2 inch water line?
1 inch line.
Oh, so you can tap off it, no problem at all, right?
Yeah.
That's not gonna affect the
Yeah.
fire hydrant?
Yeah.
All right, so I appreciate it, so thank you.
Yes, sir.
We're looking forward to you guys taking care of.
Will the overall grade be considerably higher than Casey's, or what do you, about how much, if you're in the Casey's parking lot, how much higher is
So,
it?
and I didn't print a grading plan. I apologize. I should have because I knew that question was going to come up. The Casey's parking lot is actually pretty high. It sits higher than the road. Like if you actually go out there and look, you don't notice it because of just relative grades and how they work. So as I remember, I think our finished floor is maybe 2 feet, 3 feet higher than the back, but that's a pretty significant difference from what you're talking about at the drive access. So there's almost 7 feet ramping up as you come across the drive and up through the southwest corner of the parking lot, and then we're cut sloping on the back to meet it. So it's within reason as far as close. It's not sitting gigantically, but there's still a pretty good valley, for lack of a better term, that's going to happen between the two of them because that's the natural drainage course that's coming around the kind of east side of Casey's there, and we've got to maintain that because that's where the property line is between the two of them.
Okay, thank you.
Is this a approval?
Yeah, this is a public hearing. I need to get a signed plat for you guys still, so we can't do the first reading of the ordinance yet, so.
Okay.
We could do that at the next time, because we have not signed off on the plats yet.
We'll get that from,
Yeah.
we'll get the
I think I sent a
DJ.
reminder last week to somebody. We need to
Yeah,
get those
yeah,
signed on
he
that,
was-
so.
Sorry, I apologize, our surveyor was out
Okay.
from here on vacation, so we'll get the front of him.
I've looked at, everything looks good on the plat, we just need to have signatures, so we can sign off to it.
That's when we'll do a first reading.
We'll do it at the next, I don't want to do it without a plat. Like I signed off on.
Anybody have any other questions? Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, thank you.
No committee reports, department head. Who does that?
Oh, yeah, just want to give you guys a quick update. We had a chance, Banner came down along with, we had a pretty good crew there of people from Banner, and city crews and everyone else, Keith and Jeff and Keith, Steve Lane was on it. I was in on it, and a couple guys from Banner, and so we had a chance to look at it. And what a 60% review meeting is that they're 60% out of all the plans that they're drawing up. So there were some decisions that had to be made, and Jeff and Keith kind of walked through the whole thing with them, and they agreed, and we all came to agreements on what would be best for the situation. The biggest thing I think that I got out of this is that we're looking at an increase in cost of almost $3.426 million over what was estimated back in 2021 with what's going on out there with bidding and things like that. So we've seen quite a bit of an increase. One thing that didn't include when we applied for the funding was the new estimate includes over $1 million in contingency. So we're about $2.464 million more than we originally had thought we were going to be at. So what that does is going to affect what the other part of the project was, which was relining a lot of our sewer mains in town and a lot of finishing up with all of our manholes that we had to do. So those are the issues. We'll probably end up cutting some of that back because we need to get the stagger system, which is the new system that they're putting in out of sewer lagoons in for sure. And then we'll try to scale back and hit mainly the priority areas that we have where we got the most infiltration around town. And Jeff's working with the guys right now to identify all of them. And we'll keep moving forward. But I think kind of just giving you a little bit of a history here. It looks like we should be able to advertise for bids starting in May. We'll open the bids sometime in late May, early June, and we should start construction in July of 2023 with completion around October of 2024. So that's the schedule they have right now. We're hoping we have some decent bids. We'll see what happens, I guess. The bidding environment has been pretty tough right now. There's a lot of jobs out there, and not as many people are out there able to do it. So it's pushing those costs up considerably. So
just because of a labor shortage that it's up over $3 million more, or what?
That and the price of materials. Everything has just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
There's quite a few communities that are doing sewer repairs right now too, so there's a lot of jobs out there.
To meet current standards.
Yeah. When we sat in on the meeting for the funding, there were 110 requests in there for funding. And that was they do this twice or three times a year. So there's 110 communities and sewer water districts out there that applying for funding, and they probably have equal number the next time with an equal number. So there's 300 projects out there right now that are all going to be bid across South Dakota this summer. So
is there opportunity now that it costs so much more to get more grant money?
Probably not. We'd have to go back and redo a lot of stuff. But if we want to stay on the schedule, otherwise we probably have to stop. And by the time you get any additional funds, you're looking at probably even more costs.
Okay.
So we still got almost $6 million of it paid for. But we're just not going to be able to do as much mining and sewers as we would want to. Unless bids come in way better, and we don't have to use all those contingency funds up. So.
Okay.
That's about all I got. Jeff, you got anything?
I don't know.
Hey, I was wondering, okay, this is gonna be, for the residents of Beresford, we're gonna have an increase coming up to pay for all this. What I was wondering is, and I don't know if we can do it, but what if we started charging a little bit extra, say an extra $10 starting in June or something, and then maybe every year after that increase it by $5 or $8 or $10. Can we do something like that? So when this all comes to fruit, we're not hitting our residents with a big, say, $40 increase from at one shot. Can we start collecting now?
There's going to be a resolution that we pledge the funds from this when we do our rate increase that they have to cover just this specific project. So if you want to cover other stuff, you can raise it that side of it. But whatever resolutions we pass is going to be strictly for this project. So you're going to see probably a separate item on your bill that shows this is for the relining project and the Sager system or whatever, wastewater treatment plant improvements, one or whatever you call it. So we're looking at about $30 per residence or per customer just for that project.
I was wondering if we could just start into it now and start collecting.
I don't think they're going to want to do. I think they're going to want to have that resolution all at one time. We've done this twice before, and they told us that it has to be all done in one shot. So once we start borrowing, we'll have this resolution passed probably within I think 2 months of when we actually close the loans. So this is all through the Department of Ag and Natural Resources. So we'll close the loans, but the rates have to be in place before we close the loans. So that resolution is what basically says that we will pay all of those funds that we collect strictly for this particular project.
So when you were saying they, is that you met was like BNR then?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Department of Ag and Natural Resources is the one we're borrowing the money from.
And they're the ones that will say that we have to have this resolution.
Yeah, there will be a resolution that CCOG and DANR will put together, and then once you pass that, then we'll start collecting it after that.
It's a condition of the loan that you have a dedicated stream of revenue that can only be used to pay back that debt. So they say, whatever the number becomes, if it's $30 per household per month, you put that on until that debt is paid off, and then it goes away.
So to Will's point, we can't preemptively do it.
I mean, you could, not for this project, I mean, you could preemptively, I mean, you could start raising sewer rates aside from this, but this will be a separate surcharge. You still have a water surcharge on for the 46 project.
2 water and 2 sewer surcharges on your utility bill right now, and those are dedicated to that.
And this will be just like those, it'll be a separate line item that Elaine has to account for separately. It goes into a specific fund, only to retire that debt.
So that means one day they may all go away.
They don't get paid off and you don't have other projects.
Well, I'm just asking.
Yes.
I'm on the record so we know.
Yeah, so the answer is those may go away, but there may be others.
Well, hope you're still around.
That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. We want to hear.
Yeah.
The old,
30 years from now.
well, it's all right. The old lines will go away, but minus the new lines, but
20 years.
Is it 30 per month or 30?
It'll be 30 a month.
30 a month.
Yeah, it's by far the biggest project I've had since we've been here. This is almost $15 million project.
if they are working in other towns, because I know for Al system, my buddy's over there, they raise his bill a little bit every, I'm not saying how much.
They borrow from here, they're not the same way we
They're
do.
doing the same thing.
Yeah, they're raising it up quite a bit.
Beresford, I think some of theirs have got 8 surcharges on them now.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't real big, but there's about 8 different ones that they've borrowed over just for the expansions that they keep doing in that town.
Hartford's doing a new one, and theirs is gonna be very similar surcharge, between 25 and 30.
And that's what we're projecting is $25 to $30.
Yeah, I think she said about 30 when we did the initial
Maybe
meeting.
go down and get more customers in.
We'll just pay it off a little sooner, hopefully.
But you just said we're about 4 million more than we anticipated, so how much does that affect the rate?
The rates aren't gonna change, we're just gonna do less. We borrowed for 15 million, so we can provide, we'll get the new Sager system out there and the, by the lagoons out there, we'll get that done. And then whatever else we have left after we bid that portion out, then we'll go out and bid the rest of it. So we're just reducing that down, so it's all part of the same project.
Okay.
It's not, there's these rate increases, that's got nothing to do with engineering costs.
Yeah, the engineering costs are all built into this entire.
So, I mean, is the engineering cost, has that gone up if they wanted more?
It's all based on, yeah, of course, yeah, it has.
Okay, my question is, didn't they, when we took this project over, did they not put in a quote for engineering fees?
They'll have one for the engineering, which is the design part of it, and they'll have one for the construction side of it. So our design side is that's all taken care of, but if the construction costs go up, I'm sure their engineering costs will go up again as they come down and do more inspections.
Why would the engineering costs go up?
We haven't even
I
got that.
understand the costs of materials, but I mean, why would the engineering costs go up?
Engineering costs aren't being a percentage of the project.
They typically would run, and on this particular project, we're gonna have them down just on a pretty regular basis. They're not, this is not something that's Jeff and his guys can go out and watch and do, so they'll have someone come down and do all of that, so. The construction engineering, I think, in, somewhere, some of those papers I think I gave you was,
Says 16%.
design, bidding, and construction services, typically 16% of the construction cost. So,
We'll start an engineering firm, Will?
Yeah, should.
I get your point though, it's,
You
the
know,
price of materials going up is one thing, but it shouldn't cost you more to engineer the same.
the same thing, I don't understand. I mean, that's
I'll have them
what's
down,
worth.
they'll be happy to come down and explain it to you.
Okay.
So when we have their next contract that we'll approve, they can come down and answer all those questions for you.
And what is the projected completion of this?
October of 2024.
We can have a ribbon cutting for the new ball fields and this at the same time.
The ball field should be done this year.
Yeah, I know.
So if someone asks about the project, does it provide, I mean, this is an update, obviously, a needed update. Is there any demonstrated benefit that it provides for us by doing the work? Does it, I mean, is it a capacity question? Is it?
Yeah, a lot of it is. Well, it's just, they've changed the rules to our limitations on some of the things that they test for out there. With our pond system, we could not meet that, and that's because of the federal government. They're changing the rates for everybody. So anyone that's got a pond, and if you've got any infiltration problems, like almost 90, I would say almost every community has that issue. If you put in pipes that are over 50 years old, you got leaks in them somewhere. So we've got that problem too. So we're trying to reline the ones that are real bad. That should decrease the amount of water that goes into our lagoon system. What will happen now is we'll pass through all three of our lagoons, and then final step will be this aeration project, which I call the Sager system. So we'll have about 225 horsepower pumps pumping air through that, and then there's micro organisms that chew all the stuff out, and that just creates it makes it work faster than they used to. So we'll have a continual flow. Right now, the system we have in place, we're supposed to dump twice a year, and in a real wet year, we'll probably dump 2 or 3 times a month if it's really wet.
We were averaging 9 times.
5 times. During the summertime, a lot of water goes through. Typically in the wintertime, we don't dump at all. So we've been there before when we had some real heavy rains, and as you're going out to the lagoons, some of the manholes are actually popping off because the water shooting out of them. So it doesn't take long to fill up that lagoon system. And then once that's full, we have to get rid of it, obviously. So we're dumping it, and it hasn't been treated correctly. So you might be getting fines for that stuff. So we have to do, and we have to keep up with whatever the federal government signs us if we want to be in the sewer business, which we are. So
The feds keep moving the goalposts.
yep. Only time it's like changed 2 or 3 times a decade.
I think so.
Any questions? All good news? No old business, new business. We have Tony Harris in the Beresford Hotel probation review and step pay increase.
Austin is recommending that Tony be taken off probation, and his increase would go from $22.74 to $23.45 an hour.
What's the effective date?
March 19th.
So it'll be right before our next meeting.
So I can make a motion to take Tony Harris off probation and increase his pay rate from $22.74 to $23.45 effective March 19th.
Chad, second. Motion by Swagen, seconded to approve the step increase and removal from probation for Tony Harris. 220, so what was the rate? $23.45
Correct.
an hour, effective March 19th. Any further discussion?
How long has he been here? Is he off probation already?
6 months.
Time flies.
All fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Tony Morvick step pay increase 32.54 to 33.44, effective date of
March 8th.
a motion to approve that step increase.
I'll make a motion to approve 20 August pay increase.
Second.
Motion by Seeley and seconded to approve the step pay increase for Tony Morvick, effective March 8th to 33.44. Now any further discussion? Hearing none, all fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Subsidy drawdown request faith in action, in the amount of $5,500. That's what I was doing.
Approved it as part of our budget.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the subsidy drawdown?
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the subsidy drawdown request for Beresford Faith in Action in the amount of $5,500.
Second. Motion by Stagg, seconded to approve the subsidy drawdown request for faith in action in the amount of $5,500. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. 2022 Beresford Library Annual Survey. Are we voting to, we accept the survey?
Yeah, she said you didn't have to do that anymore, but if you guys want to, you're more than welcome to say, reviewed it and accepted it. She wanted to just include it in the packet for you, so.
There's a lot of good information. Someone wants to make a motion to accept it, they can.
We'll make a motion to accept the library annual survey.
Second. Motion by Burnham and seconded to accept the 2022 Beresford Public Library Annual Survey. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Looks like there's a meeting on March 9th, which is Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, so if any of you guys on that committee want to show up there, or Mayor, you're more than welcome to. We'd like to have you if possible. These are the guys that actually designed the building. The guy that we will be meeting with this is one of his first projects, so he's been with them since the building was built, so we'll have him, he'll come down, maybe one of the other guys will come down and kind of just listen to what your ideas are, and then they can put some type of rendering together for that outside there.
Thursday at 9 a.m. a little hard to make that.
I'm out of town.
No offense, but
Okay.
why was the committee not involved in planning? I mean, I can't make it, so.
I can't either.
I can reschedule it at one time is all, so
Okay.
I'm just working around
Well,
there.
I mean, I know that we should.
I'll have you guys, it's tough to find a time where it can be, I'll be real honest with you. I do this about 7 times before we finally come up with a time, so.
Could you go move?
You and Ben meet.
I'll be at work.
I mean, there should be at least one committee member there, represented from the council.
I'll be at work.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
That's right.
I would ask if we could try to reschedule, it's just really hard for me right now.
I'll send a message out tomorrow morning. You guys can check your schedule for the next 2 or 3 weeks and let me know. And I'll see if it matches up their schedule and Ben's schedule.
I mean, I'd like to be there.
I know, it's just, it's tough to find a good time that works for them too, and they've already got their meeting scheduled.
What if he sends a schedule that dates that work for him and we figure out if it works, how many of it works for us? Start with him. I mean, is it even like 4 or 5 o'clock an option for them, I wonder? That's more feasible.
Could be, yeah, just depends on the day, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No travel requests, is there a motion to authorize payment of bills?
Oh, move to pay the bill.
Second.
Motion by Burton, seconded to authorize payment of the bills. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Approved. Executive session for personnel. Is there a motion to enter into executive session for personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tiedemann, seconded to enter into executive session for personnel. All in favor
Thanks,
say
Jeff.
aye.
Aye, everybody.
Opposed? Oh, Jeff. What is our snow budget looking like? I've had like 3 people asking.
What we're gonna get for snow?
No, snow budget.